Ma chambre a la porte de cage. Le soleil passe son bras par la fenêtre.
Hi, John.
It's a pleasure to be with you.
No, the pleasure is all mine. I'm serious. It's kind of surreal for me to be here, sitting with the author of Men Are From Mars and Women Are From Venus, and a book that has affected me and generations.
Oh,
But also, as I can tell, a very kind man, a very open man, and it's an honor to have you here in this JDV discussion.
I'm looking forward to it. You radiate joy to be. One of my favorite phrases in one of my books is a chapter. It says, "A man with a plan, a woman with a smile. That's all we men are looking for. And what women are looking for is a man who has a plan."
Don't get me started. Don't get me started. But first, I would love to dive in the concept of purpose. I always kind of like to explore and discover the why. Every person has a why that kind of wakes them up in the middle of the night, or a why that would wake them up actually in the morning to get things done. So, do you know your why?
Oh, yeah.
What's your why?
My why is to help women and help this world. And that is my purpose. I'm very good at it. And not that I don't help men, but
I was just going to ask that.
I'm all there for men and so forth. But men don't buy that many books. That's not why. The funny thing about Men Are From Mars is today more men buy it than women. Yeah. Because men all want to make women happy. They all do. When a man leaves a woman, and 90% of the time it's the woman who leaves a man. But when a man leaves a woman and they come to me, and I've been doing this over 40 years, I say, what's the bottom line of why you want a divorce, why you want to end it? And they'll say almost to the same words, John, no matter what I do, it's never enough to make her happy. It's all we want. And if we don't, when a woman is happy, it says a man, he makes a difference. So from one direction, my purpose is to make a difference. My mission is, how do I make a difference? And what I would say to women, yes, they have a male side, they have a mission, but from a gender perspective, everything I do, I look at it from the male, the female side. Yeah. We all have a male and female side, but the female side of us, our purpose is to find happiness, joy to be.
And joy.
That's it. And how do you find that joy? Well, there's many, many ways. That's your mission in life, is to find the ways that work for you to be happy. Just like for me, I was a computer programmer. That was, wanting to make a difference in the world, make money, have a relationship. Didn't bring fulfillment, actually caused huge muscle tension in my neck.
Yes, I think this is how you know that it's not your purpose.
That's right. Right. But everything has a flip side to it.
Yeah, how so?
So this is, and finding my mission, like what am I supposed to do in the world? And I was depressed at times when I was a young boy, which was, what am I here for? I don't know what I'm here for. And that actually led to feelings like I didn't want to be here. And then I realized it took a while for me to find out, what is it I want? Desire is a very important thing. It helps guide us and to what did we want to, what's my mission? So anyway, I wanted to make money. I could make money, but it wasn't satisfying. What else do I want? Well, I want to make money by making women happy and making men successful in making women happy, all based on my own personal experience. So I want to be successful in making a woman happy and how to do that. So I looked at the challenges in my own life where I could solve and share that with other people. That being my mission. And it took a while to really refine it to the point of the mission.
We're just going to ask you, did that purpose change?
Yeah, what that point is that when I was 19 years old, I instead of going to Stanford University, my parents were all graduates of Stanford, a very important, big university.
Of course.
All my family went to Stanford. I told my parents that I want to go study with a guru.
And how did they take that?
I have amazing parents. My mother just said, well, tell me why. And I said, Mom, and I'm Christian background. And I said that if I was back in the days of Jesus And he came to my town and said, "Follow me." Why would I follow him? Because he promised enlightenment. That was the word back then,
Yes.
enlightenment.
And these days as well, we're
Yeah.
back to using it.
Yeah, I want enlightenment. And this teacher, this guru, in my mind, he had something that I wanted. He could call it enlightenment, but that was drawn to him like a magnet. He was a super mentor for me. He was an inspiration to me. So I knew I didn't care about money. I didn't care about anything. I cared about, I want to be like this guy.
You wanted the knowledge, the wisdom.
Yeah, I wanted to be enlightened. And he was successful and he was fulfilled, you know, and I became his personal assistant. I lived with him for 9 years. He's at that time, the biggest guru on the planet, a world teacher. And part of why my soul was drawn to him is it part of who I was, which I had no idea of that. I'm a world teacher. You know, I teach bestseller in 45 languages, you know, so I teach the world.
Yeah.
So I needed a mentor for my destiny.
To be able to reach that destiny, you needed someone to show you the way.
I had to have an example. We can't become what we don't see.
Yes.
You'll have your own version of that.
Yes, that's very important, because I feel the idea of teachers or role models these days is taking a back seat, because everyone is their own teacher, especially in the Gen Z, the generation to come. People have become different. You know, they have become more aware, and the weight of the teacher or a role model or a guru has taken kind of a back seat. While I feel, you know, it's so important to see an example of what's going to shape, how am I going to shape myself to be, you know?
You know, I think there's reasons for that. And I'll take a moment to share it.
Please.
On one side, that's really a good thing. They want to follow what's inside of them.
Yes.
But they need an example to discover what's inside of them. That's the whole key. And the whole story of the guru and student, I wasn't your typical student. I was very independent in it. You know, I would study his messages, but I would compare it with others and so forth. I've always felt that the teacher's really inside, but I need to see it out there first.
Yes.
And the more traditional model of the guru is you should do what I say and only what I say, and you should follow me, and nobody else is any good.
Yeah, was he like that?
He wasn't.
Yeah,
he wasn't like that. He was very open-minded. But what he didn't have that I, as a teacher, have, which I learned, in a sense, like you could say, what did you learn from him? I learned, if you're a teacher, what not to do. Although he did better than a lot of others from that perspective. But what he didn't do is share with other people his own imperfections.
Oh, I love that.
See, this
his
was
humanness.
His humanness was not shared. He didn't, you know, like I'll stand up in the audience and say, you know, my business partner died. I grieved for a week. And then I found out even more, most of my money was in his bank accounts because he's my partner and I can't access those accounts. So I was terribly anxious.
Of course.
Okay. Who wouldn't be?
Yeah.
But if you were many gurus today, they wouldn't tell you that story.
Yes.
They'll give you the story that I'm always happy. I'm always enlightened. I'm in bliss consciousness all the time.
But is that even possible?
You can be in bliss consciousness all the time. It's one of the stages of enlightenment. Now, I've been doing this enlightenment thing for 50 years.
Yeah.
Okay, so I understand the stages, and you can get caught in stages.
But
There's a stage where you're in bliss consciousness, and then you have to come down to earth.
Yes, I love that. Is that like spiritual bypassing?
Yes, that's spiritual bypassing.
Yes. When you feel like you can, to simplify, when you feel you can like spread rainbows and butterflies over any situation.
That's right. That's not life.
But that's not life.
When your wife dies, my wife of 34 years died of cancer. And I'm going to have rainbows and butterflies when my wife dies. Are you kidding?
No, we're going to grieve. We're going to
I'm
feel
going to grieve for 2 years. I grieved it. I wanted to die. Of course, I didn't. I know grieving, you may want that, but you don't do that.
Yeah.
And I was in despair. And I knew, because of what I've been taught and what I teach, it will pass. You know, when you're walking through hell, keep walking.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Hail to that. I mean, this is a very profound learning, to be honest. And it's not about it's not about the situation itself. It's about how am I going to react to within that situation. Is it not?
And here's what I want to line up with what you just said. See, it's different the way I grieved than other people might grieve.
Yeah.
Because I knew another part of me knows everything's going to be okay.
Yeah.
Everything's going to be all right. And some of my friends would say to me, why are you grieving so much? Because you know she's happy on the other side. Because I have no question she's happy on the other
Yeah,
side.
bless
To
her.
me, that's,
Yes.
I have died twice and I know the out of the body
Yeah,
experience.
I have died
Yeah.
once and I
So
do so. It's beautiful.
It's beautiful. It's
It is.
peaceful. You know,
Honestly, it is.
So, you know, there's no
Subhanallah,
fear of
yes.
death for me. Although I don't want to die because I have a mission to do. I have a family to
There's
take
so much.
care
There's
of.
joie
and
de
I-
vivre.
yes,
Yes.
exactly. Well, that's the female side of me. There's so much to enjoy. The
Yeah.
male side of me, there's so much I have to do.
No, I love that.
I have a mission.
I
have
love
a
that.
purpose. And we
Yeah.
all have a mission and purpose. That's our male side. And our female side is what you just said. There's so much
Yeah.
to enjoy. There's so
Yes.
much to have to experience the happiness of life,
Yes.
but also the sorrow of life. You know, there's a richness to
Yeah.
loss. Even though I don't want loss,
Yes.
I like oh, what
No,
can I lose today?
I would relate to that because there is kind of a serenity to the loss. There's some kind of quietness to, you know, we can pause life right now
Yes.
because we're actually kind of paying respect to something that has taken a vast portion of our life and it's not
That's right.
there again.
You know, I mean, just to share, I've had many losses in my life.
Yeah.
My younger brother committed suicide. My mother died of poisoning. My father gave
Hit and run.
a ride to a hitchhiker and was robbed and left in the trunk to die of heat asphyxiation. You know, it was. You know, I've had a lot of
Like
mishaps,
intense losses also.
lots
like,
of intense losses in
yeah,
my life.
yeah.
It seemed
Wow.
like when I married Bonnie, every year we're going to funerals for her family and my
Yeah.
life and so forth.
That's a massive educator, I guess.
It's a massive educator, but every loss, and before I married Bonnie, my first wife fell in love with another man, and I was teaching a seminar on relationships.
Oh wow.
So how can I teach a seminar on
Seminar.
relationships on how to have a better relationship? And my wife she taught with me, my first wife,
Yeah.
and we were only married a couple of years, but we taught. She started out as my assistant, and then I married her,
Yeah.
and we're teaching relationship skills called making love work. And then I discovered that my wife's in love with another man and having sex with him, and I'm like,
Wow.
how can I go and teach my ideas?
How were you able to like take that experience and transform it? I'm sure
It
was
changed my
so,
whole life.
I'm sure it was
to heal that.
impactful.
But it was a double whammy. I won't say it
Yeah.
was the biggest one, but at the time it was the biggest thing I ever experienced.
Mm.
Just think, not only was this the first I'm in love and my heart was now broken, shocked. I mean, just
Of course.
shocked. And then, so that's one. But two, it was my livelihood.
Yes.
And I had been a monk for 9 years. And then I built, within a short period of time, a few years, I built up a big seminar company in 7 cities around America. I would have 100 people for a weekend. And it was like really
Like
happening.
booming, and yes, at the time that was a phenomenon.
Yeah, that was a big thing. Everybody's
Yeah.
going to weekend seminars, and
course.
I was doing well. And so I remember, you know, now I have 7 seminars scheduled, and I have to go before audiences that have paid for this, and come in front of an audience and say, you know, my wife and I are separated. Just like so, I literally was devastated financially, thinking, how can I do this? I can't do this. And the other one was emotionally devastated. And I was broken for a little while. But what I did is I stopped teaching relationships and I started teaching how to heal a broken heart.
I know
So then I could be in integrity
yes,
and also
love
following
that.
my mission, which is to help people.
I love that. I love that, you know, when someone has a message, like when someone has a message, it kind of, no matter the roadblocks that happens, you kind of use it to be able to fulfill your mission. And I think that's the beauty of integrity, or that's the beauty of being aligned with your own purpose.
Yeah. And, you know, all of us on some level, our purpose is to grow in love and to help other people. So whether it's, you know, as a teacher, you know, I couldn't go and teach, but in any part of your life, when you hit roadblocks, it's like going to the gym, you lift a heavy weight to strengthen your muscles. And, you know, when we're talking about trying to find the mission and purpose, we might talk about that. It's a curious thing. You know, one of the ways I knew I had to stop just being a programmer and start doing my passion, which was I'm a teacher. And I knew that because I would teach meditation as well. And so, but I was good at it, but it wasn't the thing for me to teach.
That wasn't
my precise
your
mission.
flow,
There was something unique about what I was to do. And ironically, I'll just share this experience. It's a very real experience. I was so drawn. His name's Maharishi. He was the founder of Transcendental Meditation. TM is still a good course. I was his personal assistant. I taught over 15,000 teachers of transcendental meditation.
Wow.
I was his, the poster of me in every TM center showing my brain function, from meditation. It
Yes,
was very
I'm
dedicated.
familiar. So why did meditation didn't work for you?
Suddenly, I was no longer drawn to him. It just happened in one day. I saw him as a normal person, not above me and not below me. And that is a level of enlightenment.
Absolutely.
See, most people walk around and go, I'm better than that person, or I'm not as good as that person. And a
I'm
lot
more
of people,
aware than this person. I'm more enlightened than that person.
I'm more enlightened than that person,
Yeah,
or they're more enlightened than me, and therefore I'm less than them.
exactly.
And I
But
see
that,
people still following their gurus, still thinking one day I'll be like them. Hey, they're just a normal person with certain skills that you don't have, and you're
Yes.
developing those skills. But as long as you put them above you, you never really find the truth of who you are, that you're their equal.
I love this.
So for me, it was like suddenly there was no attraction, and I wasn't mad at him. I didn't feel
No,
disillusioned
it's
by
just-
him, and I didn't know what I was going to do because I was driven by this passion to be like him.
Yeah.
And I realized the guru was inside of me. I didn't yet know him that well.
I
just
think
knew.
I believe very much I believe very much in fate, and that people come into our lives and out from our
Absolutely.
lives depending on their mission.
Yeah.
And it's kind of just the humanness that we get attached, and we get to hold on to certain things that maybe the time of it has passed, and
Yeah,
we need
no,
to
that
just
time passes, you move on to something else. You don't know what it is.
yeah.
And all of the negative things that have happened in my life, if I look back to my life today, where I feel very fulfilled in my life, I mean, very, very fulfilled. I look back, I could not have gotten to where I am had not all those roadblocks happened, those things
Absolutely.
happened, this thing. Not that I would wish them to happen,
No.
but I'm grateful for what I learned from them.
Yes.
And I wanted to mention when I was going through the grieving of Bonnie, 34 years, just a part of me, like losing an arm, losing your something. Right away, I would process my grief and I go outside, and suddenly I realize how beautiful nature is. Now, one of the gifts that my wife gave to me is she was really nature lady. She loved gardening. She loved the trees.
That's true. She left you with something beautiful and,
left me with that.
everlasting.
And literally every day I would drive my convertible and drive through town looking at all the redwoods and then walking in the forest. It was suddenly I realized these giant trees were like entities. They were beings of divine energy.
Absolutely.
And that all came, and still to this day, it's not as dramatic because I've sort of left the fully broken heart opening healing place, and back to everything's great and wonderful. But I still have this enormous
Admiration
appreciation
to
for
it, of
nature that I
course.
didn't have, that she had. So I got to keep that
beautiful.
inside of me. And
That's
she's a
so
part
beautiful.
of me.
And she'll always be. So now I would love to explore the concept of success with you, because you are a renowned teacher in 48 languages, and it's a massive, you're a big deal,
Yeah.
What is success to you? Does it feel, what was a moment where you looked in the mirror and was like, I feel successful,
Well, actually, that would be there is the moment where I wrote Men Are From Mars, and within a month, my publishers gave up on me because it didn't go on any lists. And they did a tour for me. You hope in a book tour that you're going to get on a list, and it didn't get on the list. And they say, well, you get a couple of weeks, that's it. And they had no publicist.
Yeah.
And I did not give up, of course. I did my own. I didn't have the money to hire publicists, but at that time we didn't have the internet or anything like that. We had radio stations, and radio stations.
God bless that time, though.
Yeah, and they had a magazine that they would all buy, and I put little ads, less than $100 ad every week, saying I was going to talk about my book and how men and women communicate differently. I got on all these radio stations. I said yes to every radio station, and after 6 months of being on all these radio stations, my Men Are From Mars book went to the bottom of the New York Times list, the Publishers Weekly list. So it was at number 14, and then it went to 13, and then it went to 12, and then it went to 11, and then went off. And I was like, what? And so I kept calling bookstores, how's my book selling? They said, oh, your book's out of print. My publishers put the book out of print while it was a national bestseller. Again, so many frustrations along the way. But it turned out to be a good thing, because I was still doing all this publicity, People were looking for the book. They couldn't find it.
And now that created more
created the
eagerness
desire- that
to
created more
find it.
eagerness.
Yes.
And so the publisher, they said that it was doing so well in paperback. They said, look, we're going to bring it out in hardback. I'm sorry, it was doing so well in hardback. We're going to bring it out in paperback in January.
Yeah.
This is August. So I said, but all these months, the
It's
book should
gonna-
be selling. Well,
Yeah.
so because it was doing so well, they made a mistake to stop. They sold out of hardbacks and they want to do paperbacks. I said, when January came along, I said, you cannot put this paperback out. You owe me hardbacks.
Yeah.
I could have been selling more hardbacks. So it gave me the potential. That book stayed #1 for 6 years, all in hardback.
Yeah.
Do you know what it means to be a hardback book? It means as an author, you make 5 times more for every book.
Yes.
So this was like a miracle.
miracle.
You stay in hardback all that time.
Yes. And did you feel success at the time?
Oh, I'm getting to that moment of
Yeah.
success. It's just failure, First, it was so exciting in America. Oprah show was a big deal at that time. And I got on the Oprah show. That's why they had big high hopes, because Oprah wanted to be on the show.
Yes.
I was the last 3 minutes of the show. So I didn't have a chance. I mean, nothing happened to the book sales for me being on there for 3 minutes. Fortunately, Oprah saw me, and at a later date, I got to be a whole show, which definitely helped my book sales. But only after I'd been #1 for a whole year. So how did I get to #1? And what is that moment where I felt successful?
Yeah.
It was when I saw my name #1. There was a moment there where I really
I've done it.
felt I did it. I mean, I worked so hard for that.
Yes, you have.
And the big break for me, again, I feel that if you really put your heart and soul, opportunities happen. You want to make use of them. So it was not yet a #1 bestseller. It had been out of print for 5 months. And I was invited to be on the Phil Donahue show, which was the more popular show at the time. Oprah was up and coming.
Yes, sure.
So Phil invited me on, and I got to the show. I'm so excited. I can tell my publishers now, when this show airs on Valentine's Day, you have to give me 25,000 hardback books, because I have a national show.
Yes.
So then that was more leverage to get myself in hardback. So got to deal with Harper, going on the show. Harper's the publisher. And I'm in getting the makeup. And then I find out, which happened a lot, is other guests on the show were other therapists that said I was not credible. And they said that my message was anti-relationship, that I was a narcissist, that I was a sexist, and they were going on the show to attack me. So it was a feminist setup job. Okay, so that, to me, that's not a problem.
Yeah,
But,
it's not a problem?
No, because I've been fighting it my whole life.
Yeah.
I mean, my whole career
Yeah.
is that the feminists have always, I got death threats. I mean,
I can imagine.
right,
I can imagine.
they-
Yes, I can
you see,
imagine.
people
honestly.
don't really hear what I'm saying, which is how to support both men and women. But as soon as you have something positive to say about men, it's like you're a sexist.
Yes, yes. But that's not. That's. I mean, that's problematic, and I think that's detrimental in a certain way.
Oh, absolutely. It's
Yeah.
very detrimental. I'm just saying I was used to it.
Yes.
So
And it is very much prevalent, yani, and present.
so I already was set up for this being a controversial show,
Yeah.
but I can deal with it.
Yeah.
Okay. But then right when we're about to go out, it was the first attack on the World Trade Centers in 1992. Before the 9/11 one, there was the first one where the bombs had gone off. Phil came in and said the show was canceled. we're going to do a live show of this, this terrorist attack. It was the first one in America.
They're gonna have to.
And I said, Phil, I can't do it. I got to do the show today. And he was like, John, we just can't do the show. I don't have another audience for you. I said, use this audience. He says, you do not want an audience of women who've just been attacked by terrorists. This will be the worst audience for you. I said, I don't care. I can do it.
Can handle it.
Please let me do it. I can't do it another time. I'm all booked up. Have to do it. And so we continue. I said, please, we have to do it. I know
See
I
the
can
drive?
do it.
That's a drive.
So now he was saying, I'm doing you a favor. You don't want these audiences. I said, I'm ready. I can do it. So we did the show. The audience stayed for the show. And the show was what he predicted, a bunch of women who were upset with me.
Of course.
And I was fine with it. All I had to do, which is what I teach men, don't get upset. Just and Phil, the secret of being interviewed by someone, if you want the interviewer to talk as much as possible,
Yeah.
particularly Phil, because people watch this show because they love Phil.
Yeah.
And as the women were attacking me, what I knew Phil would do, because he was known for this, he's a balancer. He's a Libra.
So
He
he would moderate basically.
He would moderate.
Yeah.
And the more people opposed me, he would like defend me to the women.
Oh, so
You
he
know,
ended up
he
in the
ended
line
up-
of fire.
He just took the line of fire for
Yeah.
me. And when that show said it was going to come out on Valentine's Day at 25,000 books and the show canceled,
Oh,
we sold all the books in one day.
fantastic.
Now, then I said, well, when's the show going to air? They said a month later.
Mm.
So I said to my publisher, you owe me 25,000 books.
Yes.
Put it on. Now, there was so much bias against my message. Any author that can sell 25,000 books in one day is immediately a best-selling author.
Mm.
Goes right on the list. I
Mm.
didn't go on the list. Nobody knew why. But I had another chance.
Did you ever know why?
No.
Mm.
Well, it's bias.
It's fine. It's present media. It's
I have been canceled in America so many times.
Yes, yes.
I'm not even allowed on national TV now. I got too popular.
Yes,
It's
we're all familiar with the
you
cancel
know,
culture.
okay,
It's fine.
Yeah,
Yes.
counterculture got me.
Yeah.
One of the first back in 2000.
Mm.
Okay, but I was just too big. I was the biggest selling author
Yeah.
in the whole decade in
Yes.
America and around the world. It's just
Influence.
and it was influence, and so they wanted to take it away.
Yeah.
All right, so they did that. That's okay. I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
But so there I am. So the second month, they said we're going to do it in a month. So I said to my publisher, I want 25,000 books. You owe me. So in hardback, print them up. You know. So they said, okay, we got to do it. So then the show canceled again. Okay, and they didn't know if they're going to air it again.
Yeah.
So are they going to air it?
Yes. Yes.
So I said, you got to air it. You know it's got a good show. A month later, the show airs. We sold 25,000 books. We still were not a bestseller. If you can sell 75,000 books in 3 months, you sold more than all these books.
Yeah.
So they wouldn't. So anyway, the next month, I remember being on vacation with my wife. I said, okay, I'm going to let it go. I'm just going to go enjoy my life.
As soon as you let it go,
Soon
you
as I
were
let it-
best.
As soon as I let it go, I didn't fully let it go, meaning on that Sunday on my vacation, I went to
You went to check.
and there it was, #1. Boy, did I feel that.
That
But-
was a moment of success.
It-
But now looking back,
It was the achievement of that goal.
that's
It was a goal.
very
It was,
yes.
You have to realize I had that goal for 9 years.
Yes. But when you achieve that goal, do you do you look at it the same definition of success that you identified as an achievement of that goal today?
Let me say the whole thing about success.
Yeah.
I had a goal that was important to me,
Mhm.
and that made me feel successful.
Yeah.
And from that day on, every time I teach a class, I feel successful. And I don't really have to be #1. I did for a while. Now, I'm a spiritual guy, right?
Yeah.
My book had been #1 for 5 years, never left the chart.
Mm.
Even my other books couldn't be #1,
Mm.
maybe a couple of weeks, and then it came back.
Yeah.
Everybody was mad at me. I was hogging the spot. I mean, really, authors hated me.
Yeah.
Not just people thought I was a sexist, but if I went to an author's convention,
That's very. I think you're a really nice guy, though.
I am.
if that helps.
You know, that's what I always thought. But, you know, people say when you're successful, people will hate you. I said, why would anybody hate me? Well, now I know. I was hogging the spot.
Now you've tasted that.
But what people don't know that what goes along with mega success, okay, is and we're talking millions of people
Yes,
every
of course.
hundreds of thousands,
Yes.
50,000 people a week buying my book.
Mm.
That's a lot
That's
of energy
insane.
coming
And
at
that's
you.
a book, yes. of
And the
course.
price I paid for that, and this is not complaining, I'm always grateful,
Yeah.
is that it would, in my belly, it would wake me up every morning for about 2 hours of pain.
Oh.
Because see, there's something in esoterics, when people think about you, they're sending energy
Absolutely.
to you.
Absolutely.
So to imagine 50,000 people every
Thinking
day
about
sending
you.
that energy because they're applying the book and they're
Yeah.
telling other people to read the
About it.
book. That's a lot of energy and love coming
You
your
know,
way.
I was just going to ask you about fame and what I know it can be both a gift and a challenge. And here
Yes.
you are, you're just answering that, but from an energetic point of view that actually touched my heart very much because you could actually feel it physically.
Yeah, oh yeah, because I don't
Mm.
have any addictions.
Yeah.
You see, what happens to famous people is they all have addicts to burn off that energy.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yes.
You know, Michael Jackson's a great example of a super, I mean, he'd make a mega.
Massive, yes.
So Michael, people listening to their music, they're thinking he's the greatest. They're sending energy to him.
Yeah.
And he gets that energy, particularly because he wrote that music.
Mhm.
You know, if people give you a lot of attention, it's not really you, you don't get it all. But when it's actually you,
When
and
it's
that-
authentically
if it's
you.
authentic you take the energy in. Now, most people at a certain point, they can't receive it anymore. It's too
too
much
much.
energy. So what happens is attention builds up and then they have to yell and scream, have affairs, take drugs. Yeah, you know,
There's an imbalance.
that they can't handle that much
Yeah.
energy.
Mm.
Michael Jackson explained it perfectly. He said, I've never been happy in my life except when I'm on stage. What's happening there is, see, he's a pure channel. What he does is genius comes through. I mean, he's pure genius. These people are
Yes.
genius, okay?
Yes.
So he's doing his genius. He's letting God's energy flow through him, and everybody's sending all that love energy back. And then it just flows out again and is coming in. So while he's expressing his genius, the energy is not stuck inside of him. But as soon as he goes off stage, he's not expressing his genius. And therefore, the energy is all stuck. They're still sending love and energy, but he's not using it.
That's
Isn't that
so
amazing?
interesting.
So
That's
this is
so
what happens.
interesting.
Now,
Yes.
for me, I had the benefit of being a master yogi. Okay, I can meditate
So
for
you were
hours.
able to actually channel this energy.
I send the energy back to all the people. I literally feel it. I can send the energy out. And I mean, you can put your hand like that and watch what will happen.
Yeah.
You can now feel the energy starting to increase flowing to you. That's just because we're feeling it.
Yeah.
And right now you got cameras on you, whatever, but you're starting to go in.
Yeah.
See, the energy is always flowing. We're just not aware of it.
Yes,
So if a lot of energy is flowing, and if you're not sending that energy back out, it's stuck
It gets
inside of
stuck.
you.
Yeah.
So for me, it was 2 hours of suffering every night. And then when I'd be on a TV show, it was even more. I can feel it. I could tell you when I've been on TV, just because the energy that would come to me. And every year, my little angels would say to me, this little voice would say to me, "Is it enough?" I said, "No." And after 5 years,
You want to keep sending the message.
at 5 years, this voice came to me and said, "Is it enough?" And I said, "Yes." The next weekend, my book was off the list.
And it was enough. And it was enough.
Amazing. It's the best. But literally, and that was for me letting go of having to be number one. I don't have to be number one all the time.
Yeah.
But there was a part of me that needed to feel number one.
For a long time.
Yeah. And then I really got it. I don't think everybody needs 5 years on the bestseller list to realize that.
I for one don't believe so. I believe in the message. I believe in if you're able to send off your message and make people think. I think that's
influence. It's having a positive, inspiring people, motivating people, helping.
Absolutely.
And also you have to let go of the idea you're going to please everybody.
Of course.
You don't have to. You're not here for everybody.
So,
you have to find your audience. You have to find the people. Like I had to find my first wife and learn what last. I found my next wife, which was 34 years, and now I found my next wife.
Yeah, I would. This can go on forever. I can understand why you were late in the panel. You were just mesmerizing with your words. I want to ask you something about love.
Sure.
Yes. Do you know what love is?
Yes.
What is it?
I feel it. And I can articulate it. Love is like ice cream. It has many flavors. And I get to experience all of them. I get to feel unconditional love for my children. Infinite patience. Infinite patience. That's love. I get to feel forgiveness. The person who could upset me the most would be my wife. Because when you're married, you're more vulnerable, you open up. See, part of what making love is giving some person the ability to make you happier. You're letting them affect you.
You're opening yourself to receive, actually.
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
As opposed to having guards up.
Absolutely. And so, that's a whole different conversation.
That's right. And to be able to have the partner affect you in a negative way, because one day you're expecting them to be all friendly and nice and they're not, and you feel like I'm not being appreciated.
That's vulnerability for you.
Yeah. Then to be able to let that go, to continue to let it go and fall in love again. There's passion. There's the ecstasy of making love. That's a form of love, which is a oneness where her orgasmic experience is my orgasm.
Yeah.
This amazing experience. And it takes many years of developing the skills. I've written books on the skills of making love. So it's not just this little 2-minute thing, and you fall asleep afterwards.
Again, censored.
So you asked me for love. Love is trusting. I think my greatest trust is I just trust God. I trust the universe. All that comes to me is a gift. And I have to say, I learned that one from my mother. My mother lived in a state of grace. She, as a young girl, when her mother died, and with one of her sisters in childbirth, she was 3 years old. I asked her, "Mom, was that upsetting for you?" She said, "Not really, because my father told me he'd always be there for me. But 3 years later, he died." And she said that was the shock. And she was so shocked that she went into a coma in the hospital, in a coma. She went to the other side, and her father convinced her to come back. And her father said to her, I will always be with you. I'll be by your side. And that allowed her life to have grace. You know, when I talk about the differences between men and women, one of the most important things for women is to feel they're not alone.
True.
Okay? It's that this is, and for men, the most important thing is to feel I can do.
I can be there for her.
Yeah.
And make her
I can
not
be there
alone.
for her. I can also be there in my work.
Absolutely.
And I think that for men is the prerequisite. You should never depend on a woman for your validation. You depend on your actions and your work and your
And
life.
your integrity, I guess.
And your integrity and
Yeah.
your dignity and all the qualities of goodness, we'll put it that way. And I'm proud of myself. I do it. I say, I follow through. I don't always succeed. I pick myself back up. I put forth the effort.
Confidence, I guess.
So that confidence I built, then I can apply that to my relationship and become even happier. But if I already can know how to feel happy within myself without depending on a woman, then she can be happy some days and I'll feel happier. If she's not happy some days, I can
You're
just
gonna
be
be
helpful
fine.
to her. I'm fine.
Yes.
That's what we all need to have, that level of self-sufficiency.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's very important. Maybe if it's one last piece of advice you would give for marriage to be sustainable. One piece of advice for marriage to be sustainable. I know it's a big umbrella.
Well,
but
of course, I just spent 6 hours talking to an audience, and I'll talk for the 3 hours.
Yeah.
But if I can give one piece of advice,
Yes, just
men, control your anger, control your women, and women, learn how to ask for help.
I love that.
See, when all men want is to be needed in order to provide something meaningful to a woman or to the world, but also then for the intimacy for my wife to feel that she needs me. How do I know she needs me? Because when I show up, she appreciates me. She's happy to see me. We not only are interdependent in terms of our mutual needs. Men need to feel a woman's love. That's why we actually, men are not always aware of why they do things, particularly why they want sex. Okay, we're not just animals having sex to procreate. Yes. We're having sex because it's the only time in our lives when we can fully feel. Yes. When a man has an erection, what people don't know, his female hormones are rising. He has high testosterone, that's his male hormones, and only when he's connecting with a female does he get that erection, and he has to have the estrogen come up.
Yes, and then he connects to his feminine for a little.
That's right,
for
a
minute.
Bit of time.
Yes.
Well, for me, hours.
Ah, good for you.
Yeah,
but I mean,
he has to learn
that
how
connection.
to do that.
Yeah.
Most men, yes, but it's the connection.
The connection to your female, to your feminine, and I think this is again another podcast. But there is like the feminine energy and the masculine energy. I'll also ask another very brief question. Because now, as a woman, for years I've been connected to my masculine energy. You know, a single mother, having to work, a job as like a workaholic. So I know that I've been immensely connected to my masculine energy.
You and almost every other woman
Absolutely,
today. Okay?
absolutely. And now that I'm connected to my joie de vivre, to my feminine energy, my question here is, do I have to tap into my masculine to be able to do things, or I can actually flow within something to do with my feminine?
You would be anxiety ridden if you were just on your female side. I mean, I can give you the whole biology of it, but anytime women have anxiety, they're too far on their female side. This is called hysteria. The word came from the Greek word hysteria. Women become hysterical. Who becomes hysterical in ancient days? Modern women generally don't become hysterical.
Yeah.
It's when a woman was wealthy. Wealthy women showed their status by not working and having people do things for them all the time.
So they don't have anything to do. They stay in there. They don't have an outlet for their energy.
They don't have an outlet for their male side.
Yes.
It's all about balance. You can look at the balance biologically. The female side of us, to a great extent, is regulated by the hormone estrogen. That's emotions and feelings and love. It's all about estrogen.
Yep.
So women biologically need to be making all the time at least 10 times more estrogen than a man. Otherwise, she's stressed. That's all proven biologically.
Yeah.
Now we can look into joie de vivre is ways to make progesterone and estrogen. These are the two major female hormones.
Yes.
Men primarily need to be making testosterone. I need to be making 10 times more testosterone than any woman in the room. Otherwise, I'm stressed.
Yes.
This factor, anytime a man is stressed, he can't connect with his positive emotions when he's stressed. It's impossible. But to connect with his positive emotions, he has to have not stress And that would be his testosterone levels are 10 times higher. Then he's in a situation where someone needs his help. It's only if a woman or someone needs their help.
So
if
he
it's a
can
woman, it's even more,
exchange,
that his estrogen will go up.
Yeah.
Then he starts to find this balance. So all in all, we're kind of go off on this was the whole idea of why men want sex, as primarily it's through
Balance.
sex that men can feel.
Yes, and they can balance.
Unfortunately, they're not taught how to have sex. So all they think is, oh, now I can feel pleasure, so let me increase pleasure. So all the books on sex are all about how to, toys and this,
Yes,
increase your
but
pleasure.
it's not, yeah.
It's about using sex with someone you love.
It's another addiction. I mean, it's not the spiritual side of it, and that's also another podcast that we'll have
but
to
very
do.
quickly,
Yes.
sex lets a man feel more, and then what he has to do is consciously choose and learn how to express that feeling of love.
Yeah.
So it's not just a physical thing, it's a conversation.
Of course.
It's an expression in many different ways, and that's a whole conversation in itself.
Yes. So last question. What is your joie de vivre? What is your joy of living?
Oh, my joy of living is being of service. I really don't. People say, what else do you do for fun? This is for fun
This
for me.
is fun for me.
Where
This is fun for me too, honestly.
Exactly. That's the balance
Yes.
of your masculine and feminine side.
Yes.
To where your greatest pleasure on your happiness side is being of service. Those two things come together.
Yes. You have lit me up. Thank you so much for this conversation. I'm so blessed to actually, and grateful, so grateful to get a chance to sit with you one-on-one. And I think it was a beautiful conversation. And I think we've been able to channel a lot of wisdom as well from you. So thank you.
In just 30 minutes, I have so much more to say.
I know. I'm sure you still have more and more people to meet and more things to share. And there's always the internet as well.
So remember that. Contact my office, and we'll do some more.
Yes, live ones.
Yeah.
Yes,
Zoom.
I would love to do that.
Yeah, I really enjoy talking with you.
I'm blessed.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much. Thank you.